Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be the official conclusive WL mouse review. This mouse has had just quite a lifespan. You know, it came in, everybody thought it was fake, then people thought it was plastic, and now it's kind of just accepted as the real deal. Another 40-gram magnesium mouse at around $150 definitely has a place in the market. So yeah, this is just going to be a review. I have given this a good amount of time. I got it, put out initial impressions, then my final mouse came. So I've just been using these mice a lot, along with the Viper Mini Signature Edition, some other fingertip mice like the X2 Mini and the HTX. So yeah, this is mainly going to be a fingertip grip perspective, but I've also had no problems getting like a relaxed claw grip on the mouse. But I will say, like, depending on your grip style, the flaws in this mouse's like just design itself will start to come out more. For example, if you're just lightly fingertipping, the indentation, or just the slits rather, on the side are not going to be an issue. But if you're putting a ton of pressure with your grip and aggressive claw gripping, it's just going to feel pretty awkward, and there's lots of holes in the back of the mouse, obviously. And this part of the mouse is just a bit more slippery than the rest I've noticed. So mice with just humps where there's just tons of massive cutouts, I've noticed just aren't great for aggressive claw compared to something like a GPX, honestly. And yeah, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but if I'm putting a lot of pressure with like my actual palm, I just don't want to be going into these like holes on the mouse. I just want a solid surface there. But that's not how I'm gripping. That is just a gripe with the design. And another thing, as I mentioned in my ULX review, like some people fingertip grip towards the bottom of the clicks, which with the ULX holes, it's really no problem. With the Viper Mini click design, it's not a big problem as well. But with these, the holes kind of do go up far. So depending how you would grip, you might be like holding your fingers over a triangle. Obviously, you can just move your fingers up a bit. So yeah, ultimately, this is just going to be an aggressive mouse design. You're either going to love it or hate it. I do not hate it based on how I actually grip the mouse, but I feel like all of that was worth mentioning. The quality of the shell itself is really incredible. I mean, there is the whole ULX flex debacle, and there is no side flexing on these walls. And that's one of the reasons I decided to give this mouse some extra time. I wanted to see how the build quality would hold up, and it is pretty impressive in my opinion. Compared to the Viper Mini Signature, I don't know if it's just because this has a solid wall and just a more denser, slightly heavier feeling in general, but this does feel ever so slightly more solid. Like if I really squeeze this, I can get the walls to flex a little bit. I think I can even get the side buttons to activate, but that is applying so much pressure. This really does feel rigid and strong in hand. Versus my go-to ULX unit, there's really no noticeable difference in build quality. This one, I mean, it must be blessed by God or something. But yeah, I would say WLmouse, very impressive for their first batch, a new company, completely new design. But magnesium is a pretty tried and true fucking material at this point. So many Chinese companies are releasing their own versions of it. But in my opinion, this is one of the better magnesium mice, just fingertip mice on the market, lightweight mice on the market, period, coming in at 40 grams. As solid as it is all around. There are some build quality gripes, specifically with the side buttons. I think I'm the only person to have it this bad. But yeah, there is just tons of side button wobble. I sent it to WLmouse and they were like, yeah, it seems like we somehow didn't catch this and we'll fix it for the next batch. I mean, that is all you can really hope for from a company. It is not game breaking. I do feel like when I grip the mouse and play Fortnite, they do feel slightly loose, definitely much looser than something like the ULX, even Pulsar side button implementation. But this is also a problem that I've had on the Viper Mini Signature Edition. So maybe there's something with these like magnesium mice at low weights fucking side button designs. I doubt it though. But yeah, now moving to click quality, I would say this is something where the mouse feels very nice, but there are just some very minor issues that I've noticed in my testing compared to mice like the Viper Mini Sig and the ULX. And it's not even an issue. It's just these, because they're magnesium and the material is more rigid, the rebound is a bit less instant. So you're not going to have a problem spamming these unless you want to like double click instantly, in which case you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer than you would on other mice on the market. And it's like kind of a hard issue to explain. I don't know how many people are going to notice it, but I also notice that since this mouse is just ever so slightly like biased towards the front in terms of weight, I mean, like, look, there is nothing going on in the back besides the battery. When I click, it sometimes will throw off my grip style a little bit more. I doubt it's due to button height or anything. But yeah, these are just very minor gripes. These are not taking away from the mouse's overall evaluation, but it's just what I've noticed when fingertip gripping it. Like, it just doesn't feel as optimally designed. The shape almost reminds me of the Vancer Gretza, which was a kind of a take on the Starlight Medium from a few years ago. This feels like a much more modernized version of it. Ultimately, at 40 grams in hand, it feels incredible, and everything I've been saying is really just a nitpick when comparing it to the best of the best, which this is, of course, priced much cheaper than. So yeah, with the Omron opticals and the magnesium click piece, it is just going to feel a bit different than a lot of the other clicks. It feels like a low profile keyboard switch in the form of a mouse switch, if that makes sense. You can see there's just not a lot of travel. The design doesn't allow for a lot of post travel. There's not a lot of pre-travel, so it's a bit stiff to activate the click, and then the rebound doesn't feel as instant as some of the competition. So if I were to rank these mice from best to worst for like clicking, or just in terms of my preference, I would go ULX, Viper Mini, then WLmouse. Is this more than like a 3 to 5% difference in fucking Kovac scores? Absolutely not. Probably not even that much in terms of percent. But yeah, in terms of like personal preference, what I prefer the most, probably the ULX while fingertipping. But if you told me I had to use a WLmouse for the rest of my life, I probably would not be complaining too much. They have my dog on the mouse. I mean, that's just a little segue. I think they do offer a custom service. I have no idea how much it costs, but I checked their website and you can like email them for it. But yeah, just the fact that they're doing all of these colorways, putting logos on the mouse, it is really interesting to see. And I think they have settled on a solid design. I know they're making a mini version of the shape, which makes sense. It could be even nicer for fingertip. And obviously it would come in even lighter, which brings me to the topic of weight. And really, I would say the mouse this compares best to in terms of weight is obviously going to be the ULX. And the 3-gram difference is not what you're really going to feel when you're moving these around. Does the ULX feel ever so slightly like larger and just less dense when you're moving it around situationally? But I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, the ULX feels massively lighter than the WLmouse. It's just not the case. But compared to something like the Viper Mini SIG at 49, Pulsar X2 V2 Mini in the super low 50s, like, you can feel that this is significantly lighter than that. A leap for fingertip, in my opinion. I am going to make a top 5 fingertip mouse list finally, since the market has gotten like some true gems, and the WLmouse is going to be on the front end of that list. The Lamzu Maya is a mouse that I just really like wish I could enjoy for fingertip, but it just feels fucking awkward. It falls into the HTX category of just like not designed correctly to be a top fingertip grip mouse, where I really feel like you got to be pretty close to the final mouse formula to get in that category, at least for me. I don't believe in fingertip grip mice specifically, like the fucking HSK. I am a traditional final mouse enjoyer, and that's pretty much why I like the WLmouse, because it takes a lot of aspects of the final mouse design and kind of gives you a cheaper Chinesified magnesium version that competes in terms of weight. So a lot of people thought I'm like hating on the WLmouse, and it's really just not the case. And yeah, other aspects of the mouse like the scroll wheel and the coating are perfectly fine. Scroll wheel, it's notchy, it's noticeably high profile compared to some other wheels I've noticed. And yeah, the coating, it does feel like it's kind of painted, rubberized, grippy. No issues with anything in terms of slipperiness aside from the backside, like these cutouts. It just doesn't feel that good. And you can even like just look at it from this profile. It just doesn't look well designed for clog. But yeah, now I'm going to talk about the sensor and the implementation, because I did note that I had some issues with 4K originally, and what I had to do to really get the mouse to feel flawless was just remove all other dongles and turn the mice off from my PC. And you might be like, that's simple, like you don't want wireless interference, and I generally agree. Like, I'll only have one 4K dongle plugged in at a time, but generally if my mice are just idle, not even turned on, that should not be affecting the implementation. I figured with the Rubik's Cube we would be having one of the best wireless implementations ever, and really it's solid. Like, I'm just overblowing, being a little bit dramatic. The 4K did seem pretty consistent, but what I've had it happen now is when my mouse is on low battery, I would say just whenever it starts blinking red, I get some sensor spinouts occasionally. I've had this happen numerous times, and I'd messaged them about it. They said they were not aware of the issue. I really doubt it could be the mouse pad, because it happened on multiple pads, so maybe there's some type of low power mode this mouse is going in, but it just seems like a really weird issue. But that is the only hiccup I've had with the sensor. The actual 4K has seemed to improve since my initial impressions video. And another company actually DM'd me about having optimized software or firmware for the WL mouse, so maybe I'll check that out, and there's like some third-party improvements that can be done. But I would say when I was playing Fortnite and Aim Trainers, there was no performance issues where I felt like I was being held back by the sensor of this mouse. And yeah, sensor position is good. It could be, I mean, ever so slightly higher up, but I'm not really going to say that is a complaint. The stock skates, they provide a lot of goodies in the box. I also mentioned grip tape in the original video, but it got so dirty after a day that I just took it off and I was like, whatever, I'm gonna get used to the fucking sides. But yeah, they provide glass skates and black Teflon skates in the box, neither of which I really recommend using if you have any like dot skates, Tiger Arcs, Hyperglides, Corpads, just any aftermarket skates. I would recommend throwing them on the base, just your skates of choice. And why not? I would say the Hyperglides for the final mouse that I put on this have been absolutely all I could ask for from a mouse skate. And I feel like that is, I don't know what else I have to talk about on this video. The build quality itself is really good. I had rattle at some point. See, you might still be able to hear it, but it might be like the sensor lens. I don't think it's anything significant. Is it the wheel? It might have even been the scroll wheel. So yeah, really aside from the side buttons, which WLmouse has already said they're working on a fix for, these are like kind of just small in general. They're like, if you just kind of like eyeballed the final mouse side button design, so not the best side buttons ever, but I was still able to play Fortnite exactly as well as I could on a ULX. So it's like, at the end of the day, how much can I really take away from this mouse? One thing worth mentioning is the battery life. The cube in general is a bit overkill. It's just like, I've come around to the fact that it's just too large. I don't really care about the fact that it plugs in at the top. That is not the end of the world for me. But yeah, the battery life, it's not the best out of any mouse on the market. I'd say you get like 2 to 3 working days while using 4K, which I don't know, maybe I'm just not charging my mouse to 100% every time, but it does feel like it is getting low battery, and since I got those spin outs, I've been schizo about it being low battery. So yeah, the experience could definitely improve. I was not expecting perfection. I wasn't expecting anything out of WLmouse. So the fact that they were able to deliver such a solid mouse all around, and I'm, by the way, not paid for this video. People think I'm shilling the ULX. I'm hating on the WLmouse. Now after this, I'm going to be shilling the WLmouse. It is all pleasant in the mouse reviewer world. But yeah, I guess in conclusion, I will be giving the WLmouse the seal of approval. Obviously, at $150, this is not going to be for everybody. I'm still not going to be recommending it to the average like fingertip grip user over something like an X2 Mini under $100. But if you are looking for that top tier non-plastic mouse, like 40-gram lightweight experience, this is one of the few mice that you can just simply go out and buy in that category. I would say it really does clear mice like the HTX and the Lamzu Maya just in terms of experience, weight, just the design in general, but that will come down to personal preference. Versus the ULX and Viper Mini Sig, it is just pretty much on the same tier. I think everybody can have their own opinion on those 3 mice. But yeah, those are really the 3 go-to premium mice on the market currently, in my opinion. So yeah, if you have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on the lightweight fingertip grip mouse market after a few weeks of really constant testing. I've gone back to ergos and I'm like, what the fuck am I using? Because this is, in my opinion, like how a mouse should be made. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That's gonna be all. Peace out.